This is Abdul Jabril,
And Darika Ashby.
and this is Ink Insights. Today we will be discussing our thoughts and feelings of They're There and if it does deserve a seat at the table.
Personally, I think it does, but you gotta give it a little time because it's a new book.
Yeah, it is very new, but I also think the way that it portrays how American history is for other people rather than Americans, Black, Latino, it's a different way to shed the light on what American history is like for others.
Yeah, for sure. And how it currently affects the population. Because, I mean, these are real people going through these things.
I think also the way it's very modern, and with a lot of other greats, they're very old books, but this one is pretty new, so it kind of has it's kind of relatable to more people, I would say, because it's something that they can relate to more in the real world and not something they have to kind of put themselves in the shoes of somebody that's whatever years old or however old the book is, try to make themselves feel like they're in that place as well.
Yeah, and you just gotta give it time because even a lot of the greats, like, people hated Jane Austen's works when she first released them, and now she's pretty notorious, so I think you just gotta give it time. And, well, first of all, I think start with teaching it in classrooms like we have here because it would open conversations up to a lot of topics that affect each of us currently.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the origin story of the book. The origin story comes from a famous quote by another author, Gertrude Stein, who says, "There is no there there." Tommy takes this quote and he implements it in the title of his book to dive deeper into the experiences of Native Americans living in the city, dealing with issues like forced relocation and feeling failed by the system. There's really no there for the Native community in a place where they feel like they don't belong in.
He also mentions in one of the chapters, one of the characters, Dean, that he listens to a song by Radiohead called There There, and it's a good take to make it more modern and relatable for audiences rather than mentioning an author that, I mean, a lot of high school students haven't heard of Gertrude Stein.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. Because, this was a quote from a very, very long time ago. So to be able to change it into something like that for readers to be able to understand and relate to more seems nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then speaking of him making references to bands like Radiohead that are still very popular today, it's also just got an overall relevant message for today because, well, first of all, it was published so recently, and because it's told from 12 different perspectives, we're kind of getting different ideas from each of them. Like, you've got old characters that are probably more stuck in their ways, and we've got new modern characters that want to embrace their heritage rather than being ashamed of it. And so it really helps visualize what they go through and sheds different lights on the American experience, specifically Native Americans.
Yeah, I think another thing is it really forces you to be in empathy. It really forces you to put yourself in these other people's shoes because I think a lot of times, especially today, we just look at somebody and we judge them, knowing absolutely nothing about them or their experience. We go straight to judging, and it's you have no clue what they could be going through. So it's it really helps you, especially me when I was reading it, forces you to just put yourself in somebody's shoes and see what it's like to have empathy for them.
Yeah, you really start to empathize with characters that, I mean, honestly, I would hate some of these people in real life, but it's giving you background and why they do the things that they do,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of shows that they're not all bad or even a little bad. They can just be a little morally gray. Octavio and a lot of his group, they're planning to rob this powwow, but meanwhile you're getting this whole backstory of what happened to his dad. He watched the guy die, and then he lost his mom and brother and basically everyone around him. He has no support system, and so you can kind of infer that he's just doing what he thinks it takes to survive, and you can't really fault him entirely.
Yeah, more characters like Tony Loneman, I would say, that joined this group with Octavio and all these other guys. It's they feel like this is the only option they have. They've lost everything else. They've lost tons of family and everybody that they think could help and support them to find a different way of life. So it's this is the only thing that's left for them.
Mm-hmm. And even characters in Jackie's POV, we see her ex, Harvey. I don't know if he's really an ex, but it's kind of implied that it was sexual assault that led to Blue being born. And so it's really interesting that we're seeing her interact with him in a way that's not entirely hostile. They grow and they kind of have a partnership, and you kind of see him have a relationship with his kids, and it's really odd to empathize with a character like that when in real life, I mean, I personally wouldn't ever.
Yeah, definitely. The book also just spreads awareness on many current issues that a lot of people could deal with, such as alcoholism, gun violence, violence at home, including family, because that's what basically all of the characters in the book go through. All of them have lost some kind of family. Either they're recovering or addicts currently, or they're using violence and gun violence to think that's going to solve issues that they have.
Hmm. And even the characters with not necessarily like prominent family issues, like Jackie's grandchildren are being raised by Opal, and they don't necessarily have a bad relationship with her. She's a good caregiver, but she's kind of like got this fear of like embracing her culture because of what her mom put her through, and it's this kind of underlying topic of generational trauma that she's just kind of pushing that onto her grandsons, even though she's not a bad person or a bad caregiver in any way. It kind of like has a strained relationship with them and gives them a strange outlook on how they view themselves and their cultural identity.
Yeah, that's why I really liked reading the point of views of the boys, because they would try to just go like out of their way to find any way to find out who they are, especially in their Native American community, like finding out what their tribes do, what they wear, and things like that I thought were really cool.
Mm-hmm. And it would really open conversations. If this were discussed in a classroom, it would really open discussions for a lot of things like gun violence. And so, yeah, if we were just discussing these topics in a classroom in a controlled setting, there could be arguments, but it would probably be more tame compared to just going out and arguing with someone on the street. You could talk about topics like racism, gun violence, domestic violence, and a lot of issues that kind of promote arguing with each other instead of trying to come together and find a solution. So it would be good to talk about these things and honestly just like shed light on especially like the Native American experience, because I mean this was Native American land, and I mean I don't know you personally, but I can't name any like Native American dishes or like a lot of like specific cultural things despite them being here before us. So it'd be good to learn about.
And close to the ending, I feel like the white guns, something that was brought up a lot of times. White is a symbol of innocence and purity in literature, and I feel like they did that on purpose, because these guns were given to kids that were probably innocent in their past and just fell the wrong way because of situations that happened growing up in their lives and things like that.
Yeah, and even though we're seeing that they're not necessarily completely bad people, they go to this powwow and things get out of hand, as I probably say we both assumed they would around the time that they started talking about it. It went badly, people got killed. Well, we don't even know what characters survived actually, or like what happened to them. And I think that's a very interesting decision that Tommy Orange decided to do, and it kind of like, it was very abrupt ending. I didn't expect it to end there, and I think it really symbolizes the realistic experiences of people, because you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know the outcome, and you can really feel the grief as you're reading it, and just makes you empathetic way more.
And I think that just ties a lot back to Native American history. Like this really happened to people. Like people were killed, people were stripped of their land, their original homes that they had, and it's just like we have no clue what happened to them other than that their land was taken and they're gone.
Yeah, and speaking of, I did some research before this, and a lot of the characters are from the Cheyenne tribe, and I looked, and that's mostly a heritage that's found in like Nebraska, Wyoming, but it's interesting that they're in like Oakland, California, and it really just like shows that they really are very displaced from their culture.
Yeah. So that's why we really think that this should be have a seat at the table in years to come, because it just opens so much great conversation for identity, self-hatred, generational trauma, and things that go on in the real world that can sometimes just be brushed off, that it really shouldn't be.
Yeah, and it would really pave the way for a lot of future Native American artists and creators to be able to share their story and put awareness out there for what they're going through.
Those are our takeaways on There with Ink Insights. Abdul Jabril.
Darika Ashby.
I think we could just say peace out.
Yeah.
Just 'cause